Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. Today I want to share with you something really interesting because I am noticing a ever growing fear that is gripping the cryptocurrency market right now. People are really worried that we are about to enter a prolonged bear market. I'm here to tell you that I believe otherwise and share with you perhaps some reasons why that is. Now we've already given you a number of reasons like RSI, and how we think it's very, very close to bottoming. We know that it bottoms at a kind of higher point in a bull market. That was certainly the case for 2017. And it's typically the case with RSIs that in a kind of bull market, you tend to bottom out and make those legs up at higher points. We looked at the stock RSI as well, guys, which is very, very revealing because you do not hang around down at this level for long. You will make another bottom before then coming back up and making that bullish cross. We also looked at things like volume. We looked at our Elliott wave theory and how the two wave looks very similar to the fourth wave that we are currently going through. Lots of sort of on-chain and off-chain data suggests that the bottom is in for Bitcoin. And what I want to do, guys, is I want to show you something very interesting. And this is using a little bit of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, which we've spoken about in great lengths on this channel, to kind of tell you what's going on. And I want to focus because here you have Bitcoin's life cycle. Now I'm going to take off the EMA. And you can see here, one thing that I'm going to point out in this video is what happens every time we break our all-time highs. Because you guys know that what we're going through right now, in my opinion, is just a kind of half-time whistle for this bull run. Things will resume when the volume comes back in, and that is the key. We need the volume. Also want to point this out. This is obviously 2017. Look at the volume here, guys. This cycle has got nowhere near the volume of 2017 and looks more like what we believe we're in, which is this kind of first severe pullback that you had in 2017. Now, what I want to focus on really, guys, is the fact that we know that how the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory works. We know that the last year, the fourth year of that cycle theory is when you have your kind of extreme bull run, your parabolic bull run, and the most gains are kind of made. They all follow a very similar blueprint. The only difference is they are going to have different traits. And I'm going to show you that, but they do all have a lot in common. And one thing that they do all have in common is once they break this all-time high, the prior cycle's all-time highs, and I'm going to show you that, they make a run-up before then correcting. And this really signals, and it always happens around about the same time period, this really signals the half-time of the bull run. So I'm going to put the first one in there from the prior all-time highs. This is 2013's all-time high. And then, obviously, we've got 2017. And it's very, very revealing what I'm about to show you. So back over in 2011 when we made our all-time highs, once we had broken that, and we know how 2013 went, we had a kind of two-part bull run, which is somewhat similar to where we're at, but somewhat not. You make your first leg. Now, after that first leg, guys, we actually sold off by near 80%, I think it was around about 76% if you accurately work it out. This is obviously a big term, big scale, so we're not going to be able to give you an exact prediction, but it was a significantly more severe sell-off than what we've currently gone through, and certainly more severe than anything we saw back in 2017's bull run. The reason for this, and the reason they follow the same blueprint in terms of the 4-year cycle theory, but the actual runs will look different and have their own characteristics, is just simply because market conditions are different. This bull run actually, for a large part, was outperforming 2017 in terms of ROI. The reason for that was because we know that governments around the world inflated money supply. This had a direct impact on not only the crypto market, but assets around the world. We also know right now, and one reason the volume's so low is because people are somewhat getting back to normal. We've got the Euros going on at the moment. People aren't really largely have their heads in the game. They want to enjoy summer. They want to enjoy their freedom that they've now been granted. So we know what's going on at the moment is really just a low volume kind of issue. And there's a number of things that suggest that, the bottom is in. So that's what you have. So that was your 2013. So that's this over here. Then you have your 2017 bull run, the end of the next 4-year cycle theory. Now, what I want to show you is once you break your prior 2013 bull run all-time highs, you then do the same thing again. You have this big run-up before you then sell off. And this sell-off, by the way, guys, was around about 40%. So it was one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest, that 2017 had. If we look at today's current cycle, which we know started in after 2017, started in 2018, and is going to lead us up to the end of this year, once you break your all-time highs, what do? You have a big run-up, and then you have a correction. Now these corrections always seem to, and it's around about 56%. So people are very, very worried about this and say, look, this hasn't happened before in Bitcoin. It has in 2013. And not only that, the reason this sell-off was as severe as it was is just due to the fact that there is a lot of leverage in the system. So what I'm saying to you is that each sort of blow off top end of the 4-year cycle theory has a different characteristic, and that's really down to market characteristics. Whether it was 2013, there was very little liquidity, so these kind of big volatile movements were possible. Whether it was 2017, the first time mainstream kind of adoption took place on a small scale, and now whether it's 2021, where we have a lot more leverage in the system, there's a lot more infrastructure built around it, so prices can be manipulated and moved, we have big institutions involved, etc., etc. So they're all going to look slightly different but follow the overall blueprint. And that's essentially what we're seeing today, guys. We're just seeing that half time. And if we go back to this pullback in 2013, it was actually started in round about April and finished in July. So the bottom, or where it sort of took the trend was essentially broken, was around about July the 13th, July the 1st. This sell-off here that happened in 2017 took place in round about June and led us all the way to July the 17th. This sell-off over here took place in round about April and led us all the way, or well, we don't know where it's finished out yet, but I'm there's a number of indicators to me that suggest that we're almost there. I mean, Willy Woo is calling for a bottom, Bitcoin whale movement signal, crypto market bottom is in, says on-chain analysis, Willy Woo. New data on the amount of Bitcoin being scooped up by crypto whales and retail traders signals the bottom is in, according to on-chain analysis, Willy Woo. So there is on-chain, and I listen to on-chain data significantly more than I listen to any kind of a news outflow, whether that be governments around the world trying to kind of scare people out of crypto, or banks stopping their users from buying it, which we've already spoke about how hypocritical that actually is. There is a lot, and go over to Glassnode, have a look at some of their on-chain analysis. It's very, very telling, ladies and gentlemen. And I do not think that this bull run is over. In fact, I think you still have the second half to come. We're just waiting for the volume to uptick. We're waiting for, there's a lot of famous sayings out there like sell in May and come back in St. Leger's Day, where people will essentially sell because summer periods tend to be quite boring. And this is the same throughout all markets. So ultimately, what we're really waiting for, in essence, is a break from this sort of downward trending market. Once we see that clear break, I do believe we will resume this bull run and go on to make all-time highs, and everyone will be kind of going, oh, well, that was just a great buying opportunity opposed to right now people thinking that, this is the end for Bitcoin and the crypto space. And as somebody who is still dollar cost averaging and accumulating crypto right now, I'm here with you guys that buy and then it goes down a couple of percent the day after, or 10%, and then comes back up 20%. It's very choppy, very kind of emotionally draining. Very, the key really is to understand the long-term goals and ambitions of cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, and the short-term volatility is really just complete noise. Because if you look at Bitcoin on a logarithmic scale, guys, you can quite clearly see the direction of this technology. And if you look at it on an adoption kind of rate, it's actually getting adopted at a significantly faster rate than the internet. And that's important to remember. And it's important for me to make videos like this at times like this, where everyone's kind of scared, everyone's kind of worried. But ultimately, I don't think we're seeing anything out of the blue, to be honest with you. I mean, it's very, very apparent that once you break your cycle top highs, you then make this first leg before correcting, first leg correcting. And that's all that's going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think the cryptocurrency market is still on track to make new all-time highs. We think Bitcoin is probably going to go to around about 160k. We still believe that regardless of what's just happened. And ultimately, we do definitely attribute the severity of this current sell-off that Bitcoin has just gone through due to the amount of leverage in the system. It's a record high. 776,000 people got liquidated round about here for Bitcoin. That has never happened. And as somebody who watches liquidations every day, long positions and short, but all sides of the leveraged coin are getting wrecked right now. So I have no idea why these individuals, some of the biggest players that I know that are literally leveraging hundreds and hundreds of grands, if not millions, of dollars in leverage, are getting wrecked continuously. And I just don't really understand. I can understand trying to make your money stretch a little bit further, but this is not the time to be putting leverage on, guys. Ultimately, we do genuinely believe that the bottom is in for Bitcoin. And when I say that, let me just make it very apparent. You know, we said, look, you're probably not going to go much lower than 28k. That was a target that was essentially hit. That doesn't mean you can't sort of come down and, you know, there are a number of ways that this plays out. And ultimately, we are just waiting for that break. I think we're getting dangerously close to it. The more we come up and hit our head on this, you know, the more inevitable it kind of gets. The more we come up and hit our head on the EMA, the more inevitable it kind of gets that we break through it. And we know that's certainly true given prior history. And we think March 2020 is a very similar kind of way to how we believe we're going to finish things out. We're going to pop above this EMA eventually and really just get on with this bull run. So we're very, very excited with what's to come. We don't really think there's the need for the fear. Just remember what you're investing in. You know, we covered the whole grayscale unlock thing that people now seem to want to cover. They unlocked far more Bitcoin in the past month, I believe. You know, there's constantly Bitcoin getting unlocked and kind of hitting the open market. And the 16,000 Bitcoin that they're kind of estimating is going to hit the market is really not that significant. You know, for a start, not everybody is going to sell. You know, once the product has come to an end, the 6-month lockup period has come to an end. You know, it all depends on the premium. Some people will be selling at, you know, a very marginal gain, or in fact a loss perhaps at this point. If you look at where, you know, they perhaps bought in from the 6-month period, it's all very interesting. But that's all I have for you in this video, guys. I just thought I would share that with you because that's ultimately where I believe we are. I still think we have the rest of this bull run to come. And, you know, I think in hindsight, this is just going to have looked like a great buying opportunity. And there's lots of macroeconomics kind of going on at the moment. People are predicting, you know, the biggest crash of all time, whether that be Michael Burry or stuff like that. I think that the governments around the world are going to try and keep this economy afloat for as long as possible. They are not going to allow it to implode, because with that, it brings a lot of pandemonium. They're going to kind of keep the lid on this whole scheme. They're going to keep the lid on the kind of monetary supply and stuff like that. And I don't mean they're not going to inflate the monetary supply. I mean they're going to do whatever it takes to keep you know, their systems in play, certainly for as long as they can. I think a crash inevitably is coming, but whether that's a year down the line, 10 years down the line, you know, remember we already saw a crash in March 2020. Not just the crypto market, all markets across the board. Since then, we've seen a pretty epic recovery, and I think that this is probably going to continue, certainly for the short to mid-term. So that's all I have for you guys. Go check out the on-chain analysis. Go check out Willy Woo's channel. He's a brilliant, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. You know, and just play around with these charts yourself. Go and look at the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. We've not really done anything out of the ordinary, perhaps unorthodox to 2017 standards, but it still follows the blueprint of, you know, once we break that prior all-time highs, we then have that impulsion before then correcting. And it can be a severe correction. It can be a not so severe correction. But yeah. So that's where we're at, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. I hope everyone is going to have a fantastic weekend. I just thought I would get on here and share that with you because it's something I find very interesting. I'm constantly looking at the bigger time frames because ultimately that's what got me into the crypto space. I'm a macro investor, I guess. Yes, I do look at the short-term time frames to see where we're at, see if there's any patterns forming for good entry positions. But ultimately, I still focus on the long-term time frames, and Bitcoin's long-term kind of direction, long-term trend is very, very apparent. Even a blind man could see, you know, the direction Bitcoin's going in. Certainly, if you look at the rate that it's getting adopted, etc., the on-chain, off-chain metrics, the fact that governments around the world are now adopting blockchain in the form of CBDCs. We had, I can't remember the head of what bank it was, come out the other day, and he essentially said, look, we're going to move towards CBDCs. And the reason that we're doing that is because when people transact with cash, and I don't think cash is a bad thing, by the way, guys, because it is purely anonymous, handing a piece of paper over to somebody, who knows, you know, you don't write your name on the back of it. Blockchain is like writing your name on the back of it and timestamping it. And that's why they want to use blockchain technology. And we very much liken blockchain and the internet in terms of them being disruptive technologies. You know, everybody uses the internet today, or the majority of the world. Blockchain will be the backer of a lot of things, whether that's social, whether that's financial, etc., etc. So we only see this technology going one way, and Bitcoin is really at the helm of it, along with a number of other cryptocurrencies out there. Ignore the short-term volatility, guys. Stick to the plan, and I'll see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic good day, and I hope to see you all in the next YouTube video.